In case you need more evidence that corporate media absolutely hates you, hates me, hates America, there's a story, or lack of a story, over at MSNBC. Of course, everybody's very familiar with the fact that Joe Biden, the president of the United States, allegedly called us garbage. He said that Trump supporters are garbage. He was referencing or replying to Tony, the comedian who did a routine at Madison Square Garden over the weekend during a Trump rally, said that Puerto Rico was an island of garbage. Of course, everybody was crazy about this. Everybody in corporate media, that is. They were going crazy about it. It's like, oh my gosh, they were trying to tie Tony to Trump. And Donald Trump, of course, doesn't even know who Tony is. He's like, I don't even know. Somehow, Tony is part of Trump's inner circle. But you know who's not part of Kamala's inner circle? Apparently Joe Biden. Because a lot of these networks, CNN, MSNBC in particular, are trying to distance Kamala Harris from Joe Biden. I want you to think about this. It's like Tony Hinchcliffe is somehow directly associated with Donald Trump when he made his comments regarding Puerto Rico being an island of garbage. But Joe Biden, who is Kamala Harris's boss, who has worked directly with her for over 4 years now, including the 2020 campaign, apparently there's no association there. That's, I mean, the idiocy, the gaslighting, the very strange methodology of corporate media is bad, and MSNBC is arguably the worst. As of Wednesday morning, the homepage of MSNBC does not mention at all Joe Biden's garbage comments. They've got a top story. There are a lot of good reasons to feel optimistic about Harris's chances. That is a straight up, it's a coping story. It's like, guys, it's looking bad, okay? But there's reason to be optimistic. There's, oh my gosh. And look, the follow-up story, Kamala Harris's closing argument could not have been more clearer. Wow. She spoke for 30 minutes. It was nothingness. I mean, I think the best thing that they're saying that Joe Biden's comments stole her thunder. I think it might have ran cover for her. At least people are talking about that, and not about how awful Kamala Harris's her I was about to say her farewell speech. Hopefully that's the truth, but really it was supposed to be her closing argument speech at the Ellipse in Washington D.C. It's good for her that they're talking about Joe Biden and not her speech. She went 30 minutes with a teleprompter and a memorized prepared speech. Trump goes 2-3 hours without a teleprompter, well, he does have a teleprompter, but he doesn't really use it very much. He goes off the cuff nonstop. He can do Joe Rogan, however long necessary. He's a dynamo, and she is just a moron. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that Joe Biden had to go out there and say, call you and me and however many tens of millions of Trump supporters there are, we are garbage. Whereas instead they're talking about that. But MSNBC is trying to sell hope here. I went and did a search, and I did find one story. It was late. It's funny, they didn't publish a story until after the is when, of course, the vast majority of, not majority, but most Americans, a lot of Americans, not most, but a lot of Americans get their news first thing in the morning, right? That's when traffic for sites like MSNBC.com spike, usually between, let's say, 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern, all the way straight through until about 10 a.m. So there's a 3-hour window where the bulk of the traffic is hitting these websites, seeing what's happening in the world, or as for those who go to MSNBC in the morning, see what's not really actually happening in the world because they are fake news. But they waited until after the morning rush, and then they decided, oh, you know what, let's go and throw up a story real quick. And, well, where is it? Harris addresses Biden's garbage comments about Trump supporters, and it's a nothing burger story. But I went through and did a search for garbage and did it in chronological order. I got all the way to page 5. So they had like 43 or 44 stories referencing either Tony the comedian's garbage comment or a comment that Trump had made like a week ago where he's saying that the United States is becoming or has become the garbage can of the world, where they dump all of their crap on us. And that's true. You know, in reference in particular, of course, to Venezuela, they like to dump their Tren de Aragua garbage onto the United States. in places like Aurora, Colorado. Trump's comments were not off base. They were not wrong. And yet, MSNBC wrote, between the two garbage stories, in 1 week, they wrote 43 articles about it. But the President of the United States calls half of America garbage, and they wait until after the morning rush before they kind of throw in a mention. And even then, they weren't talking about Joe Biden. They were talking about Kamala Harris's response to Joe Biden, which was nothing. I mean, just pure nothingness. Again, I have to reiterate that corporate media, led by far left organizations like MSNBC, they hate me, they hate you, they hate Donald Trump, and they hate the United States of America. Thank you for watching this clip. You can see the entire shows by subscribing to my Rumble channel over at jdrucker.com/rumble. That's jdrucker.com/rumble.